Terrific. Thank
All
you
right.
for joining us today. My name is Brenda and I'm the Director of Programming at See Kids Dream. And I wanted to let you know a little bit about who we are and what we're doing today. See Kids Dream provides service learning programs to schools so the students can gain important leadership skills while making the world a better place. Some of our student leaders at the schools who participate in our service learning programs couldn't complete their in-person interviews with local nonprofit organizations before schools closed. So we're hosting these organizations on here so students can do virtual interviews. These interviews are important so students can get their questions answered and take what they learn to decide the best way to help the issues that are important to them. Today, we're happy to be hosting Harry from the Open Shelter. Welcome, Harry.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having us.
And so students, if you have questions, you can go ahead and start asking them. If not, I have some student questions here that I can ask. So let's see, I'll get started with one of the ones that I have. So a student question I have is, when did your organization begin?
The Open Shelter started in 1983, actually in December of 1983. So we're almost at 37 years of service to the Central Isle community.
Wow, that's amazing. And then how did you guys get your name?
Oh, goodness. Well, that's before me, but I believe it pretty much was just a brainstorming session between Kent Beidel, who still is our director, and some other people who were connected with the agency at that time. I believe we were connected for a little while with Friends of the Homeless and Faith Mission. But then around that 1983 time, we broke off and became our own separate agency.
I have a question from Ridgewood 5th grade. They wanted to know why why did they start the Open Shelter?
Well, Kent Beidel, I mentioned before, our director, he's always been involved with helping the homeless and marginalized since pretty much the mid-70s. So I know at one time he was involved with Huckleberry House, which helps homeless youth. He was connected with the United Way for a while. He worked with United Way, but that's always been his passion, to help the homeless and marginalized, the most vulnerable in our community. So he was able to spearhead starting the Open Shelter. And for many, many years, unfortunately, she passed away a few years ago, he and his wife, Mary, I mean, this was their passion. This is what their life was about, to making sure those are most vulnerable, those who feel they're being left behind, that they got the services they needed to survive. So that's how the Open Shelter began, and that's how it exists still to this day.
Yeah. Well, I have another question from Ridgewood. They wanted to know how long do you give people shelter, and are there a maximum number of days? And I know the Open Shelter works a little bit differently. So
yeah, we're a little
bit
works. Different. Yeah, we're actually a day services shelter, so no one actually stays here. We don't have an overnight facility, so people come up. It's a little different right now with the coronavirus and COVID-19, but if we were operating regularly, somebody would come up and there's no questions asked. Anybody who needs the assistance, we'll try and help them. They come up, we usually have sack lunches every day that people can get, clothing, camping supplies, hygiene items. Now, usually on foods every day, but the other items are on assigned days. So like typically clothing is on Mondays and Tuesdays. We give out food bags on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So anyone who needs help, they can come up and get, and that's from 10 to 2 Monday through Friday. Now with what's going on, unfortunately with the pandemic, we're operating from 10 to noon Monday through Friday right now, and primarily concentrating on food. I know it seems like, I think from what I know, the other shelters, it's typically 30 days that someone has to do something in that time that makes, take the next step. As far as the Open Shelter is concerned, though, you can come up here as long as you need the help. You can come up here and get it. So we have had people we have helped for many, many years, whether it's helping with housing, helping with clothing, helping with camping equipment, or just if they want to come up and get a sack lunch. And we also do have a payee program. We have about 60 people we help manage their money, make sure that any money that they're getting, whether it's Social Security or otherwise, they're using their money properly. But unfortunately, we are just not in this situation. We haven't been for almost 15 years where people can stay overnight at our facility.
So I have another question from a student. What are the things that you then actually do or provide for the people that come to you?
Well, the first and foremost is basic needs. That is what we try to concentrate first and foremost. Make sure people are getting the food they need to survive. Make sure they're getting the clothing they need to survive, hygiene items, those basic needs that we might take for granted. You know, we wake up in the morning, typically we brush our teeth, we have some breakfast, we put on some clothing. That's kind of what we do. You know, we're used to it. Those we help, that's not a given. They can't assume they're going to have that on a daily basis. So we try to make sure they have those basic needs to survive. Then once we build up, you know, that trust, we build up that relationship with someone, then we try to help them with the next step if they need it, as far as getting into housing, as far as help with money management, just trying to help them get off their feet and off the streets and into housing, and hopefully take that next step to bettering their life.
I have another student question. I mean, how many volunteers do you typically have?
Oh goodness. Well, right now, unfortunately, we don't have many. You know, we have to limit who we have up here, but it's in the hundreds. I mean, throughout a year, we see, I mean, if I had to pick a number, probably 500. And that's in many, many different ways, though. We have groups that do sack lunches for us. And each weekday, we have a group that brings a sack lunch. So typically, they have 10 to 12 people to help with that. We have people that help with our evening meals, which unfortunately are on hold right now, but we have groups to help with that. We have people that do volunteer during the day, not right now, but on a regular basis during the normal time. People that come up and help us with cleaning, setup, serving food, people that help us sorting clothing and donation. So it would be in the hundreds. I mean, like with our Christmas program that we have every year, we have people that help us decorate the church that we have it in. That's usually like 20 to 25 people. So that's one of the things since I've worked here for over 20 years that's hit me, is that this is a very generous community, a very giving community. And if you say you need the help, you will see no hesitation or problem with people coming to help. People will always respond and turn out to help you in some form or fashion. So that's always heartwarming and always nice to know, especially in this time.
Yeah, yeah. I have a follow-up question from Ridgewood on the volunteers. I know how old you have to be to volunteer.
There is no age limit. The only thing that we ask is if you're under 18, you have a parental guardian with you. So anyone 18 or younger, we would just need to have a parent with them. But there's no limit on that. Typically on that, though, our best volunteer opportunity, and hopefully at some point we'll get it going again, is during our evening meals program. Because it usually is from like 4:30 or so to about 6:30. So it does offer the opportunity for someone who's maybe just getting out of school or off their job to come down and help them volunteer. Unfortunately, though, that's on hold right now.
Yeah.
Going on.
Another question from Ridgewood is, what items are you in the need of the most right now?
Right now, we are in need of, and I don't even know the right way to determine it, but it's like the styrofoam to-go containers. Some people call them clamshells. We always try to have a hot meal here, and we always do that even before the pandemic. But now we still do the hot meal, but we put in the to-go container, shut the lid, and someone can come through and take a hot meal with them. So to-go containers, bottled water. We always need bottled water. Unfortunately, some of the things we really are in need of right now are some of the same things that are hard to find, like hand sanitizer, bleach, Clorox wipes, disinfectant wipes. Those sorts of things we always do need. But, food items as well. Canned goods we can always use. Anything that, lunch meat, peanut butter and jelly, bread, things like that, to put together a sack lunch if we run into a bind. Those are probably our most crucial needs right now.
Terrific. So Ridgewood also wants to know, how many people do you usually help in a year?
In a year, last year we helped right around 3,000 people, just a little bit under. It was 2,952, I believe was the exact number. So right around 3,000, pretty much on a yearly basis, individuals we help, men, women, and children.
Have you seen an increase since with COVID or not?
With the pandemic, we've seen a little bit of an increase. The main thing is that we've reduced our hours. Typically, we're here from 10 to 2, open to everyone. Just to kind of do our part as far as like flattening the curve, as everyone's talking about. We did reduce our hours. So even though we've reduced the 2 hours, we are still seeing about the same amount of people that we would during a regular day. So whereas before we would see 150 to 175 individuals in a 4-hour period, we're now seeing that same amount in a 2-hour period. So it gets very hectic at times, but we're making it work. We're making sure that the social distancing is being adhered to. People come up 6 at a time. We just try to stress to them, take what you can, but you've got to kind of move on, because we can't have anyone hanging out for too long period of time, because we got to keep the number limit up here. So we're still seeing the same amount of people, just with shorter hours.
I have another student question for, so how did you get involved working with the Open Shelter?
Oh goodness. Yeah, like I said, it's been over 20 years. I actually stayed at the Open Shelter when we had a building over by where COSI is now. And at that time we did have overnight sleeping. So you could stay there 24/7. So actually I ended up staying there, and just because at the time I was staying there, I didn't have a job. I was, bored. I started helping out. So I still started helping sort donations in the back room, the material assistance room, help with the cleaning of the restrooms and the building itself. And then eventually I started getting involved with the actual fundraising and the mailings, the newsletters that we do. So I helped with that, and it just eventually, either other people would move on or they'd fall by the wayside. So I was last man standing, so to speak. Actually became the assistant to our development director at that time. Then when we had to unfortunately move from that area and pretty much morph into what we are now, we had to cut a lot of staff, unfortunately. And however it happened, I ended up being retained and actually ended up taking my former boss's job as a development director. So that's how it worked.
That's great. That's great. So is there anything else that you want to share with people about the Open Shelter, or?
It's our motto right now, and it's been the better part of a year, is staying behind with those left behind. And I think that really does hit home, especially now with what we have going on with the pandemic. I mean, it can be very, very hard to find assistance right now. I mean, some agencies have decided to close for the time being. They decide that, and that's their decision. I'm not criticizing it, but for whatever reason, they've decided that, we just can't operate right now. So they've had to close their doors, and services are very, very limited right now. So it can be hard to find help. So fortunately, thanks to the support of our community, and here the past few weeks, we've seen that tenfold. Our donations financially and materially have been really, really good. And as I was speaking before, it shows how supportive, how giving our community is, the Central Ohio community. And I think the Open Shelter is a reflection of that. There's no way we could be doing what we do right now without that support. We don't get any government support of any type. It's all grassroots. It's all because a church or a school or an individual or a business has decided to support us. And like I said before, that's one of the things that really, when I get time to sit down and think about it, really hits me and strikes me how amazing that is. And organizations like yours, like See Kids Dream, of course, too. Can't forget that. So it's been great. It's been great.
We know our students love hearing about what you do and helping out.
Oh, one other thing. This may seem kind of off the wall, but another need we have are plastic grocery bags. And I know that seems like, why, of all of the, we really need them now. So when someone comes up to get like the produce that's been donated to us, or bread that's been donated to us, that way they can take it with them to wherever they're going. So we've run out of those here recently. So if anyone were able to get us plastic,
I have a ton I can bring you in my garage.
we could definitely use it. We're always here from 9. Right now, we're here from 9 to noon, Monday through Friday for donation drop-offs. But yeah, that's another thing. In fact, we were trying to get some today, and unfortunately, the store we thought we could get them from, they said they were short. So hopefully, though, I think we'll be all right. I think we'll figure it out. But that's another item.
Yeah. Ridgewood has another question for you.
Yeah.
Do you go out and find people who need help, or do they find you through word of mouth?
They find us. We used to have, we had a grant specifically many years ago, specifically for an outreach person. Well, unfortunately, that money went away. They no longer could support it. So no, we don't have anyone on staff who goes out, but word of mouth, and because people have learned to trust us, I think we're pretty busy. So people do know about us. That word is out there. Now, there are outreach workers for like Mount Carmel Hospital that will bring people to us. So we do have people we're connected with like Mount Carmel, Capitol Crossroads here downtown, that know if someone they encounter needs help, they can bring them to us. And we will try as best as we can to help them.
All right, and I have another question. I think you touched on it earlier, but do you help all age groups?
Yes. Men, women, and children, we help them. We do see some families, not a lot of families. If you were to break it down, the majority of who we help are adult men, then it would be adult women, and then after that would be families or single parents. So we don't see a lot of families, but we do see enough, I guess, for a lack of a better term. We do see our fair share. And we do have programs like a Christmas program we try to help families with, as far as making sure they get gifts, food, and items to make the holidays a little brighter for them. So we'll see a little more around those times, around the holiday time.
Ridgewood said that they get shopping bags from Home Depot, so you might try them.
Okay. I'll try that.
To you.
We'll try that.
They said they do a great job for their school. So
okay, great. I'll try to remember that. That's great.
So I don't think I have any more questions coming through.
Okay.
Thank you so much for
being a
partner of ours and through the years. And if anybody wants to learn more about the Open Shelter, they can go to our website under the Service Hub and look at our Open Shelter page. And then you can also link to the Open Shelter actual Facebook page or website from our website and learn more about what they do and how you can help this great organization.
That's great. Well, thank you so much again. And I want to thank you and all the schools connected with See Kids Dream for all of your help for so many years. It's been a blessing. So thanks again. And thanks for letting me also figure out that, yes, I can get on Zoom. This has been
good. I'm glad. Well, who knows what the future will bring. We may be doing interviews.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll use this for other reasons as well. But thanks again.
All right. Thank you, Harry.
All right, you take